Hello everyone, and thank you for clicking on this video today. In today's video, it's going to be a two-part video about the perks and what we can do to change them in Warzone. Now, with the Season 5 update, I heard from the exclusive Aces channel that it is actually going to be delayed. Now, this is okay with me because it gives me a little bit more time to push out this video that you're going to see today. Alright guys, so this actually won't include the Season 5 update perks because I haven't played with them. I don't really know what they are. I don't know what they do, so I can't put them into this list. But this is going to go over all the perks that we have, and honestly, I don't think we should just add in other perks to try and combat new perks. I think we should just try and update the old perks and make them unique, feel new. We can do that instead. So in today's video, we're actually going to be basing it off the tier list I made in the video before this. So if you want to go ahead and watch that, it's going to be linked down below, or just search through my channel and you will find it pretty quickly. I don't have that many videos yet, but basically what I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to be taking the tier list that I made from Friday, and I'm going to be taking the S tiers, the A tiers, the B tiers, the C tiers, right? I'm going to take all of them and I'm going to go ahead and actually say which ones need buffs, which ones need nerfs, and what I would actually do to apply these buffs and nerfs. Some of them actually won't have any because I think they're in a good spot already, as well as some will have buffs and nerfs, obviously. So let's just jump straight into it. I mentioned earlier that this is going to be a two-part video. Now, what I mean by that is that in part one, we're just going to go over every perk and what I would do to change them, to fix them, to put them into the game. And for the part two of this video, what I'm actually going to do is implement a system in which we can actually put different perks in sets and see how this would affect the game and if you guys like it. So if you guys like what you see here, please do leave a like down below. It helps us out. I want to grow this channel, and make sure you hit that subscribe button as well as the bell icon so you don't miss a video. Alright guys, so real quick, the order I'm going to be doing them in is top to bottom, tier 1 to tier 3, and that leaves us starting with double time. Now, not so exciting, I'm going to have to say double time stays the same, as well as EOD. Those first two perks in the first column are S tier on the chart, and I don't think it's a matter of them actually being overpowered. I think they're great where they're at. I just think that all the other tier 1 perks should get a buff in some way or another because they are lacking in comparison as double time and EOD. Real quick, I'm going to go ahead and say what they do and why they're there, but I'm not going to go heavily into depth with these perks of why they're at where they're at, because that's more of the tier list thing. This is more going to be what should be buff, what should be nerf. So for double time, it stays the same because it adds 30% attack sprint speed, my bad, as well as crouching movement speed. And if you want to play aggressive, then this is a good perk to go for. Now EOD is gonna stay the same as well, and it just protects you from lethal grenades and you don't take as much explosion damage, and this thing will help you if you run over trip mines, whatever. And it's also really good, and those two are just going to stay the same because there's not a lot you can do to really nerf them because they're in a good spot where they're at. Alright guys, coming up next we have Scavenger, which essentially lets you pick up ammo from enemies you kill. Now, the issue with this is that every enemy you kill has ammo already on them, and so this makes it such a useless perk, and I don't see why anyone would pick it up. Now, I have provided a buff for it, and this buff is you gain 100% more ammo when looting. Now, this will change SMG and AR rounds to pick up 60 instead of 30, as well as rockets to pick up 2, and shotgun and snipers to pick up 16 instead of 8. Now, this isn't a super big buff, but I didn't want to do something that would hugely impact the game when buffing these perks. And so I think if you just pick up more ammo, like you pick up your guns, you get Scavenger from loadout, and you go pick up ammo, you get 1 AR or SMG rounds, and you will be set with your guns and ammo. And that's the buff I would give Scavenger. Coming up next, we have Cold-Blooded, and this makes you immune to thermal imaging. Now, this can be useful if you're that guy who likes to camp in bushes, but besides that, it's not super useful. And I mentioned in the tier list video that because they're sentry guns right now, Cold-Blooded can be a little bit more useful. But when there's no sentry guns or attack choppers or auto targeting systems, then Cold-Blooded isn't useful really at all. The main issue with it is that not many people use thermal imaging, so I have provided a buff for it, and that is that you're immune to handheld tracking devices. Now, this includes things like the heartbeat or anything they might implement in the future of Warzone that will be handheld, and we will go over Ghost in a minute and how this is going to change Ghost. But I really want to see 2 things that will stop any imaging from UAV, from heartbeat. You need different perks. You need to separate them so that you can't just run one perk and counter both of those. I think that is too powerful, so I think Cold-Blooded should be the one that counters handheld devices, and that is the buff. Alright guys, and coming up next after Cold-Blooded, we have Kill Chain, which just basically increases the chance of kill streaks within the chests and loot chests, and I think that the buff should just be that you gain all kinds of loot, and including cash, so more rare loot and cash, so like gas mask, self revives, and other things within the chest. And I think that this slight buff will give it a little bit more of that helping hand it needs to be able to be used instead of some of the other ones. And I think that it will be a good change, and we'll see more people than just one person use it throughout a lobby. It would be a good first perk maybe to pick up if you don't have the money for a gas mask or a self revive or any of the other things from a buy station, and this will just help you out until you can get your second loadout. And I think a little bit more people would run it if you saw a little bit of a buff, and that's all we need. And then coming up next after Kill Chain, we have Quick Fix, which is essentially you just heal fast after you get a kill, and this can be useful in Rebirth, which is why it's not the bottom tier, but it's not super useful because plates, like I said in the tier list video, are way more important than actual health. Health is important, yes, but if you have 3 plates on, it's way more efficient than having and slight health than having full health and no plates. So my buff for this one, and I think it would fit the role of Quick Fix really well, is you keep the killing an enemy regens your health, but as well as you gain a plating buff. So you would play, I put 10 to 15% faster, but maybe it would be 5 to 10% faster. I'm not sure what the percents would be, but just a little bit faster, that people would run this instead of double time EOD and whatever the top ones are right now, because plates are super important, and we don't even have really a plate perk in Warzone yet, and so it would be cool to see Quick Fix become that plate perk. And so that's going to go ahead and round out our tier 1, and we're going to go ahead and start up on tier 2, starting with Restock. So coming up first in tier 2, we have Restock, and I'm putting this in stays the same. Restock is really useful in the right circumstances, and if you know what you're doing within the perks boundaries. It gives you back grenades and lethals and tacticals over the period of 50 seconds, which can be very good if you're a riot shielder who wants to use stuns to get your executions off, looking at you, these knives only. And if you want to just go ahead and disable vehicles throughout solos and you have the thermites, those can be very useful. But one of the issues with Restock is you can get a munitions box, but if you don't have the munitions box and you want to always be filled up on lethal and tactical, then this is going to be the perk that will do that for you, and so that's why it's going to stay the same. Alright guys, and the next perk we have up in the tier 2 column is going to be Hardline. Now Hardline is basically a perk that makes the cost of everything at the buy station a lot cheaper. So UAVs go from like 4,000 to 3,000 I believe, which is a solid 25% off discount. And I'm not going to buff or nerf this perk at all. I think that it's a perk that you can play around. I think that it is going to remain a low perk, but a high skill ceiling for the perk. Like if you are good at the game and you don't need perks to be good at the game, then you could use this and just get UAVs a lot more effectively. So that's kind of how I see this one playing out. Also, part of the reason I don't really want to buff or nerf this perk is because of the different setups I have going, the part 2 of this video, as you will see. But for the most part, this perk I think should just stay the same. It's actually not bad if one person holds it and gets the UAVs for cheaper, but for the most part this perk is going to just remain kind of low floor for average players and maybe a higher skill ceiling for the more top tier players. Alright, and next up we have the Overkill perk. Now Overkill is one of the most used perk because it gives you a second weapon, but if you think of it in terms of perks, the second weapon is the perk. Now, in perk standards, this perk isn't super great. I would rather use Restock than Overkill, but I would rather get Overkill and get that second weapon and then get Restock. But I don't think Overkill should get any change at all because as a perk, it kind of sucks, but that second weapon is really useful, so it's going to go ahead and just stay the same. Not much to be said here. And next up, we have High Alert. Now, High Alert's actually a really good perk that actually kind of almost tells you where enemies are because it shows you flashes of where they're aiming at you, and it is getting a buff where you can hear enemies' footsteps even better. But honestly, I don't think this was the perk that needed a buff, and I would have had it stay the same, but because it is getting that buff, I don't know what they're doing. Come on, Activision. Why is High Alert getting a buff when you have so many? You have 15 perks and people only use 5. Alright? And High Alert is one of those more commonly used, not super used like Ghost or Overkill, but it is more used than most other tier, or a good amount of the tier 2 perks, Restock being included in there. And I really didn't think this was the one that should have got a buff, but it did, and I guess that's part of the perk now, so there's that. But I would have personally had it stay the same. And the next one up in tier 2 is going to be Ghost, probably the most used perk. It is super useful right now. It takes you off of all pinging abilities, so people can't tell where you are at all. Now, I have a nerf in mind, and this is going to be no longer immune to handheld tracking devices, which is anything like Heartbeat, like anything they might implement in the game. It also won't protect you from any snapshots as it currently does, or anything that battle hardened in the future, as you see, is going to be stopping you from. Now, what it will stop you from is UAVs and any aerial kill streak, or any kill streak that will track the enemy and tell them where they are. The ones it won't stop is advanced UAV and HARP or HARP, and those two will be able to track you even if you use Ghost. It's just going to stop those UAV as well as the 3x UAV. But besides those, I think it deserves a nerf, and it shouldn't be stopping all that it does right now. Alright guys, and next up we have Pointman. Pointman's getting a buff and a nerf. Right now, what it does is it grants bonus money on completing contracts, and I'm nerfing that. No more bonus money. But what the buff is when you do complete the missions or the contracts, you're going to get plates, you're going to get fully loaded, and you're going, not the perk, but you're going to get your weapons reloaded, and your health and tactical sprint back. So not fully plated, I think possibly one plate, but the thing with Pointman that I'm trying to do with these perks is separate it from Hardline. Hardline is already a tier 2 perk that you would use if you want to save your money, and Pointman is one that you would also be putting around money. So if you actually have Pointman, make it so that it gives your team unique or different kind of types of buffs. then you might have more variety within your team, and you will be able to complete these contracts without worry that someone else is going to push you, and if they do, then you guys are set. And that's why I think these buffs and nerfs will actually work out pretty well for Pointman and make it its own unique defined perk about doing contracts. Alright guys, we are blasting through this and we are already on to the tier 3 perks, 5 perks left, and we are starting with Tune-Up. Honestly, I think Tune-Up doesn't get a change. I think it stays the same. It revives your teammates 25% faster, but honestly, there are no other perks within the game that are revive specific, and so I do think that this one will stay the same because it has a unique ability, something that'll help your team out, and you can play around it pretty well. But like I said in the tier list, it's a low perk because you don't want to be getting downed in Warzone. And next up, we have Amped. Now, Amped is going to be the last one that stays the same, but really what it does is swap weapons faster and helps you reload your RPGs or any rockets that you might have faster. And so that's going to be very useful in the game, and so it just stays the same. Everyone runs it, so yeah, we just got to buff everything else to make it more in line with that. Alright guys, and next up we have Shrapnel. I'm going to have fun with Shrapnel because right now Shrapnel is probably the worst perk in the game. What it does is it gives you 2 grenades and explosion damage delays enemies' health regeneration. So 2 issues with both of these perks. 1 is that you already get 2 grenades, and 2 is that there are plates instead of health, and most people prioritize plating over health. And so if you delay their health regeneration and they just plate up to full, then that's not going to be doing anything extra. So I do have a huge buff in mind for this perk. Now, first off, take off anything that says you get 2 grenades because you already get 2 grenades. Now, the buff is going to be that lethal blast radius and stick time is increased. Now, the blast radius will be more for Semtexes and frag grenades, whereas the stick time will be for thermites and Molotovs. Molotovs could have a bigger blast radius with the flame being larger, but for the most part, it's just going to be for the grenades, you get a bigger blast radius in the mines, and for the stick time, it's going to be for those thermites and Molotovs. And what the stick time will do is that if you stick someone with a thermite, it's going to be enough to down and kill them. So you don't have to go up there and kill them yourself. That'll be very useful. And the second part of this buff is damaging an enemy with a lethal temporarily slows down movement speed. Now, this is good because it already delays your health, right? Now, what it's also going to be doing is it delays the enemy's movement speed so they can't get away from you as easily. Now, I think this will be a really good buff, and it will really make your lethals and tacticals, or more lethals than really tacticals, but yeah, it'll make your lethals something to behold, and it's going to make them actually worth using, or this perk worth using with your lethals. And I would use this perk if it got some buff like this. Right now, where it's at, no one should be running it. But if you did something like this, Activision, more people would like to use it because what it's doing is it's giving more versatility to the equipment you're already supposed to have. And next up, we have Battle Hardened. Now, Battle Hardened will be stopping anything that you throw, like a snapshot grenade, or like think of the crossbow in Black Ops 4 that would give out pings on the enemy. It's going to stop anything you shoot or throw and tracks the enemy, and it's going to continue countering that, even keeping going forward. That is the buff I have in mind, is that it's just going to be able to counter all of the range tracking abilities. And coming up next, we have Spotter. Now, Spotter is kind of going to stay the same, but where essentially you see the enemy's mines, you see their equipment, and then you can hack it. Yeah, you could still do the same thing, but I think it should be a little bit quicker in Warzone because it should reward you for being able to see the enemy's equipment, and that it shouldn't take you a year to be able to hack something of theirs. Not saying it does actually take a year, but some of the equipment does take a while, and you should be able to hack it a little bit quicker, and that is the buff I have for Spotter. Alright guys, and if you've made it this late into the video, I would like to thank you. And if you like this type of video, make sure you are subscribing and like my content, because I'm going to keep pushing this type of content out for you guys. And I hope you guys continue to enjoy it. If you agree with my buffs or nerfs, let me know in the comments. If you want to go ahead and make your own, I'm going to be reading those. So go ahead and tell me how you would change these perks and what you would do to make them improved. So we're going to go ahead and go on to the last perk, and that is going to be Tracker, which is essentially you see the footsteps for about 6 seconds of where someone's been, and it also shows an enemy's death location on ping. Now, I do have a buff for this, and it is a very slight buff, but it's going to make it a little bit more useful, and that is that you can see people that use kill streaks within a certain range of a buy station, not a kill streak, my bad, of a buy station. So like if someone buys a UAV and pops it right away at the buy station, a ping will go off at that buy station saying that, oh yeah, there's an enemy there. So this will help you in that if your whole team is dead, then you know what buy station to really go for. And that's how Tracker can be slightly more useful. Alright guys, and we are done with all the nerfs and buffs and stays the same on all these perks, but now I would really like to go over the system I have set up. If you don't want to listen, then go ahead and click off this video. This is something I just made up for fun. I don't see Activision implementing it into the game, but this is taken off other games I like to play, such as Injustice Mobile. When you have 2 of the 3 sets of gear, you gain an additional buff, or if you have 3 or 3, you gain an additional buff. And I would like to see something like that implemented into Warzone, because right now we have 15 perks, right? 5 for each column, and you can really split them into categories and then make each person have their own unique role. And that's really how I see this playing out. Now, if you like this idea, go ahead and leave a like down below and let me know what you like about it. So basically what we have here is 5 different sets. We have the aggressive set, we have the lethal set, the ammo set, the stealth set, the money set, and the plate set, right? And the aggressive set is an all-in playstyle for the most savage of players. And the perks in this set that you would use is double time, high alert, and amped. Now these 3 are really good perks already on their own, so the buffs you're going to get are not going to be as great as certain roles with not as great starting perks. So the 2 of 3 perks, so remind you, you only need double time and amp to get this 2 of 3, would be to mount and climb objects quicker. So you would need double time, amped, or high alert, or any combination 2 of the 3 of those to be able to get that. Now, the 3 of 3 is reload speeds are increased by 15%. Reload speeds are crucial. We don't have any perk that really helps the reload speeds at all, except for on the weapons. And we have sleight of hand, which again is on the weapon. And so I feel like if you have these 3 and the reload speed increased by 15%, people will run it. People will like this type of playstyle and getting a little bit extra perks, but at the same time, the reload speed by 15% and even the mountable speed, they're not going to be make or break the game. And they're not super useful in comparison to some of these other 2 of 3 and 3 of 3 perks, as you will see. In our next set, we have a lethal set. Boom Boom, Shoot Second, EOD, Restock, and Shrapnel. So now the 2 of 3 here is going to be sticking a target gets 2 times damage. Now this is going to be really useful for downing someone really fast and killing them really fast. And if you get the stick, it should be really fast. And right now they have a chance to fight back, but if you use all of these in combination, including the shrapnel buff, then this target that gets stuck is going to be down instantly. And with a Semtex, I do believe that if you stick a target and you have these types of perks on, it should down and kill him. The 3 of 3, the second buff, the 3 of 3 buff, is going to be gain a second type of lethal grenade, and you can only carry 1 of these. Now, I believe this used to be a perk in the older Call of Duty games, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But I think it would be really useful to be able to hold maybe 2 Semtex and 1 Thermite, or whatever you want to do, and be able to swap between the 2. That would be such a useful and cool little gimmick you could implement into the game, and I would really like to see something like that implemented. So that's gonna be our lethal set. And next up we have an ammo set. So making sure that the whole team is all supplied and ready. Scavenger, Overkill, and Spotter are the 3 perks in this set, and 2 of 3 you gain the use to enemy team munitions. Now, I think this can be actually really funny and really useful. You see an enemy throw down the munitions, you can actually pick that up. I don't see why that would be bad at all, but I think that would be kind of funny, and sometimes I do see them throw it down and I want to use it, but all you can do is blow it up. Now, the 3 of 3 perk is going to be gain 50% more ammo for all weapon types. So 315 AR ammo, 225 SMG ammo, 60 and 60 sniper shotgun, and 11 rockets. I don't think this is going to break the game at all, but I think it'll be a lot more useful. You know, you're an ammo guy. You're supposed to have more ammo, and holding more ammo for all weapon types will be actually really good. Another thing is that this is the original perk I had come up with, Scavenger. So let me know if you think this is a perk that you would actually want to see for Scavenger, holding 50% more ammo for all weapon types. I don't think it's actually super broken as a perk itself, and if you implement it in Scavenger, it gives it something even better. So let me know what you think about that. This next set, I feel like I might get some flack over, but it's the self set, and there has to be one. So let's go behind enemy lines. This is going to include Cold-Blooded, Ghost, and Battle Hardened. 2 of 3, you get immunity to all score streak pinging except for a true advanced UAV. Now, what does this mean? So this means that even though you already have Ghost and you're immune to UAVs, you're going to be immune to harps as well, and the 3 UAVs that people can call in. But you will already be immune to a regular UAV from Ghost, and you won't be immune to a true Modern Warfare advanced UAV. That's the one that'll keep you pinged even if you have this set. And 3 of 3 is immunity to all pinging. Now, I don't know how overpowered this will be. You can't live ping is what I mean by this, or recon drone ping. And reading back over it, like, it seems overpowered, but at the same time, you can still ping where an enemy is. You can double tap the ping button and say, oh, there's an enemy there, without having to live ping them. So at the same time as not being able to live ping, you get off basically all types of radar except for a true advanced UAV. And so I think this will be pretty good for a stealth set because there is still one way you can see the players. And next up, we have a money set. If I have money, I'll win, right? First up in the set, we have Kill Chain, Hardline, and Tracker as the perks. 2 of 3, you see if enemies have been near a buy station, similar to Tracker. So basically, it'll show the footprints around the buy station if they're still within a certain meter, 10, 15, 20 meters around it. They'll still show the footsteps around the buy station, not exactly where they have gone per se, but it'll let you know what buy stations are particularly safe to buy at. Now, remember how I was saying some of the 3 of 3 and 2 of 3 perks are more powerful than others because of the perks within the set? Well, within the money set, Kill Chain, Hardline, and Tracker, not a ton of these are actually going to be doing a ton for you during the game. So, the 3 of 3 is going to be gain fire cell for all buy stations. It'll help your team get all the materials they need to win the game. The next set and the final set is plating set. Got a plate, I'm plating. Quick fix, Pointman, and tune up are the perks in this one. The 2 of 3 is picking up satchels will resupply plates, which I believe they already should, and 3 of 3 is gain a total of 12 plates. 12 plates isn't going to be a huge deal breaker, but it is more than everyone else, and you should get some kind of good buff for the 3 of 3. The 2 of 3 picking up satchels will resupply plates. Again, not super great because people already drop plates, but satchels should already resupply plates if you pick up another one. All in all, the plating one does need a little bit of work, but it would be cool to see a perk have a plating buff within it itself. And yeah, guys, that's all the changes I came up with for the perks. Those are also the perk sets I came up with. Let me know what you think about this content down below. This video took me actually a really long time to make, and I would really appreciate the support, guys. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks for watching.